one, go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Darrin from FK Partners, and tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the changes to the CFA program starting in 2021. I think a lot of you all have probably heard about the CFA Institute's move to computer-based testing. And there's also some other issues that we need to address with regards to test dates and ultimately the path that different candidates need to walk along to be able to ultimately achieve the charter by getting through level 3. So we've put together a little presentation tonight to discuss what's changing, important dates that you need to be aware of, and ultimately, how the test is going to be different now that it's going to be administered on the computer as opposed to a paper-based test. So there's quite a few things that have changed, and we need to be aware of that. So I've put together, like I said, a little presentation to walk through these changes. And I'd also encourage you all to bring your questions and put them into the chat. And I'm going to go through those as well as we work our way through the discussion tonight. So please bring all your questions or doubts with regards to what's happening with the CFA program. So in other events, we've talked about the CFA program more generally to really discuss if it's right for you, what you need to expect if you decide to make the plunge into doing it. And we have that. That's a live or event that we've done in the recent past, at the beginning of July, actually. And we do periodically throughout the year. Tonight is more focused on, as I said, the changes that are coming here for 2021. So I'm going to share my screen now and share with you all this presentation that I put together about these upcoming changes. Just a moment. So for those that are familiar with FK Partners, then I think you're probably aware we've been doing CFA preparation since we began the company. That was back in 2004. So 16 years now doing preparation for the CFA exams. It was the first course that we did at FK. After doing level 1 back in 2004, we quickly added the other 2 levels and then started adding many other courses that we offer. So again, the focus tonight is on, of course, the CFA program for 2021 and beyond. We will spend the time doing the discussion about that, but I wanted to, just again, introduce FK if you are unfamiliar with our company. So when we began in 2004 with this preparation course for CFA, we also formed a partnership with Kaplan Schweizer at that time. For those that are familiar, then I think you probably know the company and maybe have already used their material to prepare for some of these international certifications. For those that are not familiar, Kaplan Schweizer is the leading test prep provider for material that you would use to prepare for the CFA exam or the FRM or the CHI exam, really these main international certifications that for financial markets people that we prepare students for. Proud of that partnership. We use their prep material in the courses. We have discounted pricing for the material that we provide to our students. Even non-students get a deal for the Kaplan material, but we give a really good deal for those that are actually doing a CFA prep course with us. Now, in addition to the international certifications such as CFA, we also prepare students for the local certifications for those that are working in finance, like CFP, CGA, SEA, CNPE, CPA DACE, CPA Vinch, among many others. You can see up there on the slide. And then we do training in finance for non-certification related courses. So those that are interested in learning more about a specific topic, we prepare you for the how to model, how to do evaluation on a company, understand how to use derivatives to hedge. We have an investor relations course that we do customized for investor relations departments at companies. We're going to be doing one coming up in another month or so. We have a lot of new courses that have been going out in the last year, such as our financial statement analysis course, really geared towards practitioners. We have a course starting tomorrow on analyzing projects, the financial viability of projects for those that work in the corporate finance area of companies. Next month, we have a mergers and acquisition course starting. We have a real estate course that we're planning for later this year. We started a VBA programming and Excel course back in May. We have another group starting in October. We did a course, started a course back in July for avocados or lawyers, and for finance for lawyers more specifically. And that course is actually wrapping up this week. Another group starting in September. A lot of things going on here at FK Partners. In addition, we also have the study abroad area where we help you prepare for the certification exams, or excuse me, admissions exams for those that want to enter schools outside of Brazil. But again, we're focused on the CFA, so this is what we're going to start talking about now. Back earlier in the month, the CFA Institute announced that all of their exams, all 3 levels, were going to computer-based testing. They had earlier in the year announced the move to computer-based testing for level 1. In fact, they had been talking about it for years. They had been talking about it, I don't know how many years ago, but they had been planning the move gradually to computer-based testing with the intention of starting with level 1 here in starting in 2021, and then see how it goes, and then move the other levels to computer-based testing thereafter. Because of the coronavirus and all the issues surrounding it, with regards to really having issues putting a lot of people together to take a paper-based test, they've accelerated this, and they're moving now all 3 levels to computer-based testing starting in 2021. So that means that the December 2020 editions of the CFA exams, because all levels are going to be administered here in December of 2020. For all of those that were planning to take the exam in June, they've been pushed to December. For the normal level 1 December candidates, you still have the same first Saturday in December date. But that now is the final paper-based exam that the CFA Institute is offering for all the levels. After that, computer-based testing. So what that means, the June 2021 paper-based tests for levels 2 and 3, they've been canceled. They've been replaced with computer-based tests. There's going to be tests in May for both levels 2 and 3. There'll be an August edition for level 2 as well, and then there'll be a November edition for level 3. But I'm going to get to the dates a little bit later in our discussion tonight. Level 1 had already been announced, as we even had talked about in a previous live together. And there's 4 iterations of the level 1 exam starting in 2021. So there's going to be a February window, a May window, an August window, and a November window. And these windows, that's another difference. Instead of taking a test on a specific day with all the other test takers where you actually take the same exact exam, now you have a window, which can be up to 10 days long, to schedule your exam and to go to a test center to take your exam. And your test is going to basically be based on a question bank that the test will pull from to be able to provide you the questions sufficient for your specific exam during that window. So the first window will be in February for level 1, February of 2021. And then in May, there's going to be windows for all 3 levels. And these will be at the end of May, not at the beginning. So for those that are a little nervous about timing from December to May, again, talk about that as well later in terms of the walk towards the charter. But you do have almost as long as you would have had anyway, as they're putting the May exams at the end of the month. So, as I said, December is the final edition of the paper-based tests. Everything's moving computer-based starting next year. The May edition of the computer-based tests will include all 3 levels. And one final thing, if you had signed up for a paper-based test for June of next year for levels 2 or 3, you actually have until tomorrow, if you want to move yourself to the paper-based edition of the 2020 exam. So they're allowing you to do that because maybe you prefer paper-based tests. You can also move, of course, to the May editions of the computer-based exams. So for December candidates, what do you need to know? Well, the exams are going to be run at any location in the world where they're allowed to be run. I have no information about any specifics about test locations in Brazil or anywhere else for that matter. But we need to all keep mindful of what's happening and be alert to news with regards to where tests are able to be administered and where they're not able to be administered. But again, paper-based testing for all 3 levels for this December iteration of the exam will be administered wherever possible across the world. Now, for the December candidate, which a lot of you all maybe were June candidates that were moved into December, and then some for level 1 or new level 1 candidates for December, you can maintain that and go with the paper-based testing at the end of this year. Or you can move yourself into one of the computer-based testing windows for 2021. All windows will be available starting later this week on August 20th. So if you wanted to move yourself into November window, you actually could do that starting in 2 days from now on August 20th. So and I'm saying November for the time that the exam windows that have it, which would be level 1 and level 3. But you have until October 20th to decide basically what you want to do. If you want to maintain your December test date, or if you want to move yourself into one of the windows for computer-based testing in 2021, you need to decide by October 20th. That's the cutoff. If not, then if you're still a December candidate, that's your date. Now, if something happens, if you're not able to take the test, then you'll automatically have the option to go to 2021. But if that hasn't happened, you have to make a conscious decision to move yourself to computer-based testing in 2021 by October. Now, let's talk a little bit about the format for computer-based testing. So, first of all, why are they doing it? Well, it's going to allow them to administer the exam more frequently. We saw 4 times for level 1 each year, and it's also going to allow for 2 different takes for levels 2 and 3. Okay, so we traditionally have only had levels 2 and 3 available in June, 1 time per year. Now you have 2 options for both levels 2 and 3. All right, so 4 for level 1 and 2 for levels 2 and 3 starting next year. So it's going to also allow candidates to choose dates in the window. The window can be up to 10 days long. For level 1, the window will probably be that length. For levels 2 and 3, the windows will be shorter, most likely, because there will be fewer candidates that they need to service. So they haven't given us a number of days in each window. It'll really depend on how many people register. But you get out windows for level 3 that are 3 or 4 days long. Level 2, maybe 5-6 days long. Level 1, probably closer to the full 10 days long. And it's going to allow them to also administer the exam in more locations. The exam in Brazil is offered in São Paulo and Rio. From what I understand, that's going to continue. There's no plan, from what I understand, to add a new location to Brazil. But there is this optionality now, because the exam is going to be administered at these Prometric test centers. And in theory, there's a Prometric test center in your city. It's a possibility that the CFA Institute might see enough demand there to administer a CFA exam there. So they're going to be able to expand globally the number of locations in which they offer the exam. Now, what can we expect when we take a computer-based exam compared to those paper-based exams? Well, they're going to be at test centers, as I mentioned. The CFA partnered with the Prometric Test Center network to be able to administer these exams globally. As you go in, you'll bring your calculator like you did before. They're going to provide you with, unlike a paper-based exam where you can use your pen or pencil to write on some portion of the exam designed specifically for that work. They're going to give you these whiteboards these dry erase boards where you're going to do your work in the actual test center. So you would only bring in your calculator. They're going to provide you with the writing instrument and the writing board to be able to do your scratch work and kind of work your way through the test that way. Now, more importantly, how's the test structured now that it's moving to the computer? So you have for level 1, you can see here a reduction in the number of questions. There were 240 questions on the level 1 exam. There will still be, right, for the December take of this exam. But starting in 2021, 25% of the questions will be cut. The number will become, in total, 180 questions. And I'm going to show you on the next slide here, reduce the length of time. So the number, the time per question will remain the same, but instead of a 6-hour exam, it's going to be a 4.5-hour exam. More on that in just a moment. But multiple choice, 3 possible answer choices, standalone questions, all that remains the same. It's going to be on the computer now, but there are fewer questions that you'll need to navigate through as you do your level 1 exam. And that's going to be the same for levels 2 and 3. The same 4.5-hour format that you're going to see here for level 1 will also be applicable for levels 2 and 3. Most likely, we're going to talk about that again in just a moment. The levels 2 and 3 exams will maintain their formatting as well. For those that are familiar, level 2 uses an item set format, which is multiple choice questions that are based on a set of information. So just like they did in 2019, they're going to continue with this flexibility around how many questions they can put into an item set. So traditionally, the number of questions per set were 6. And last year, they moved to where some sets were only 4 questions and other sets were 6 questions. That's going to continue in the computer-based format. So some question sets 4 questions, others 6 questions. And then the afternoon part, or it's not even an afternoon anymore, but the second session for level 3 will also be that item set format with either 4 or 6 question sets. Now, the morning session, I keep saying morning, afternoon, it's not that way anymore. But the first session for level 3 will be a written session. And since it's on the computer, you're actually typing as opposed to writing. But they want to maintain that constructive response format for the first session for level 3. So that'll continue in the computer-based format. So the level of complexity and the length of question will determine its point allocation when you're doing those essay-style questions in level 3, just like when it was a computer or a paper-based test. And they're also going to continue with that minimum passing score formula, where they evaluate all of the different tests that we're taking during that window and determine, based on that, what's the passing score that they set for that particular level for that window. So that hasn't changed. In terms of getting your result back, can it be quicker now that they're doing things on the computer? In theory, yes, but I think it's going to take a little time for the result processing to speed up, because they want to have some time to analyze the data that they're receiving from all the different test centers. And ultimately, it's not just about grading the test. See if you got the multiple choice questions correct or incorrect, and coming up with a percentage correct. It's not just that. They're looking at, as those that are familiar with this, how everybody else performed, specifically on questions where a lot of people were getting them incorrect. Is that a fair question? Was it written in a way that's confusing? And sometimes they make that determination that too many people got it incorrect, and maybe it wasn't fair. And they make alterations to how they determine that passing score. So they do need time with the test still to determine, was it fair? Were all the questions, clear for the candidates? That type of thing before they ultimately can process and provide your results. But in time, it should speed up, but not necessarily the first iteration of this computer-based testing. Now, to give you the details on the new format, traditionally, it had been 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 2-hour break, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So 2 3-hour sessions. We used to say morning and afternoon. I can keep saying that only until December. After that, I got to shift to session 1, session 2. So you can see it's a 4.5-hour exam, but same average time per question. So on the previous slide, I had mentioned how it's 180 questions now in level 1 as opposed to 240. meaning they've cut 25% of the questions and 25% of the time. So your time per question remains the same, minute and a half per question. Now, you would start 30 minutes before with this tutorial and survey, pledged, making sure that you're not cheating, that type of thing. But then the tutorial on how to work through the computer-based system, and then survey. So they like to get data from you all as candidates to determine who's taking the test. Then you do your first session, 135 minutes. So that's 2 hours and 15 minutes. Then you have a 30-minute break, optional. You don't have to use 30 minutes apparently. Then you do session 2, another 135 minutes, or 2 hours and 15 minutes. So that'll total 4.5 hours of test time, but you'll be there for more like 5.5 hours because of the 30 minutes at the beginning and the 30-minute break in between session 1 and session 2. So what I'm showing you here is a guide for level 1. Levels 2 and 3 specific details have not yet been disclosed, but they will be provided soon by the CFA Institute, and they will be something similar to this. They won't be 6-hour tests anymore. So they'll be on or around 4.5 hours, and they will be structured in a similar way with regards to a session 1 and a session 2. So more details to come, and with regards to the specifics for levels 2 and 3, but expect a format like level 1 with regards to timing for the computer-based iterations of the upper levels. All right, now in terms of registering for the exam, pricing remains the same for 2021 compared to 2020. For new level 1 candidates, you have a one-time enrollment fee of $450. That's the same as it's been for this past year. That continues for next year. The registration fee for the exam remains $1,000, and that's the regular registration. There's an early registration if you hit a certain deadline where you only pay $700. But if you were regular registration plus a new candidate, you got to pay that initial enrollment fee, and it'll sum to $1,450. Now, again, the pricing here is the same. One thing that's different, though, they don't have any longer these late registration windows and the extra fee that one would have to pay to register late. Because they're offering the exam more frequently, 4 times for level 1 per year and 2 times each for levels 2 and 3, they don't feel it's necessary to have a late registration window any longer. Instead, if you're late, just register for the next one, because it's, you have 4 options for level 1 again, 2 options each for levels 2 and 3 each year. So in terms of some other deadlines that are important here, you have basically starting later this week on August 20th, an opportunity to register for any of the windows for any of the levels in 2021. The February registration, the standard, the early is actually finished last week, but the standard runs out through November 3rd. For May, the early period starts this week on August 20th, and it goes out until November 3rd. And then the standard runs out until February 23rd of next year. And then you can see for August and November, early, all of them, I should have written all of them, but February, for May, August and November registrations, the early dates to register start this week on August 20th. All right, so you can register yourself for any window during 2021 starting this week. So again, these diagrams can hopefully help illustrate what I'm telling you. Level 1 is offered 4 times a year now: February, May, August, and November. These windows they're planning to make at the end of the month. The February window is actually February 23rd through March 1st. The specific dates on May, August, and November windows, I don't believe have been released yet. But from what we hear, they are, again, planning to make them at the end of the months. You can see for level 2 in 2021, there will be 2 opportunities to take that exam, either May or August. And then for level 3, May or November. But when we shift into 2022, this is kind of the for 2022, the standard format going forward. Level 1 will continue 4 times a year. And then level 2 will also be, just like it was in 21, 2 times a year, but it's going to move to February, August. And level 3 will maintain May and November. So levels 2 and 3 will be offered twice each, but on different windows. Okay, so only for 2021 is level 2 going to be offered in May. After that, it's going to be February and then August. And so these are the dates or windows, better way to say, when you can actually take the exams. Now, to give you a sense of how you can work your way through this and ultimately become a charter holder, if you're planning to sit for level 1 in December of this year, the final paper-based iteration, and you pass, you can turn around and take the level 2 exam in May. So they'll get they're not talking about when they'll get the result out, and traditionally it's taken until the end of January. But we'll talk about how you can get prepared or start even preparing before then, before you even know your result. But you can turn around quickly and take the level 2 exam in May, as opposed to June, which would traditionally been when you would have taken it had you passed level 1 in December. So now you take it at the end of May, as opposed to the beginning of June. If you pass in May, you can actually continue on and take the level 3 exam in November of next year and be done with the CFA program, basically within, like really a 1-year period. If you take the December test for level 1, May for level 2, and then November for level 3, you can be done, pretty quick. Fastest ever, actually. This is really ambitious. If you can do this, that would be quite a feat. But it is possible, but it's only possible for next year. Now, after that, because of how they're going to stagger the dates for levels 2 and 3, it won't be possible to do that anymore. Now, if you don't pass level 1 in December and you want to retake in May, you won't be able to retake in February. You won't have time to do that. So your next retake would be in May, and then if you move on from there, you can, if you do pass in May, you won't have time to take the level 2 in August. So you're going to have to wait until the February iteration of the level 2 in 2022, looking at the bottom of the diagram here. And then you can continue on to late in the year, November, for the level 3. So if you opt for computer-based testing and say, I'm not doing paper-based in December, I want computer-based testing, well, the first opportunity as a level 1 candidate would be in February. And if you pass, then you can take level 2 in August. And then if you pass that, you can take the level 3 in May. So this is basically your walk to the charter here as a level 1 candidate. Now, to shift over to level 2, for level 2, again, you can opt to take this paper-based test, if you're registered for it. Here this end of year in December. If you pass, then you can take level 3 in May. If you don't pass, then you can retake the level 2 in May and then try for level 3 in November. Now, you could also opt for computer-based testing in May as opposed to paper-based in December. And if you were able to get through that, then you could take the level 3 still next year in November if you pass the May iteration. So this is basically your path as a level 2 person. And then for level 3, if you stick with December, you take the final paper-based iteration of the level 3 exam, you get your charter after the results come out. If you decide not to do that, then you can shift into the paper-based, computer-based testing for May of next year. And then if you were able to pass that, you're done. If not, then you can retake still next year in November. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. But these are on the CFA Institute's website. So if you wanted to go there and find this information yourselves, this is where we pulled these diagrams from. All right, so in terms of topic weightings, to give you all a sense of how things are changing. Hold on, we got questions. I should pause and see what's going on in the chat because I've been talking for a while now. Just a moment here. All right, so we got a couple of questions that I, basically talked right through. So now I'm going to go back to them. So Andrea is asking about, he studied physics. Let's see, MBA at FGB. The bachelor degree for the CFA program. So Andrea's asking about the requirement for starting the CFA journey. And you need to have a 4-year university degree or be in the final year of getting one. It doesn't specify that you are a finance guy or a business administration major or an economics person. It doesn't specify that. So, and we have plenty of candidates that have gone through our program at FK Partners that have been lawyers or engineers. There's a lot of engineers that work in financial markets in Brazil. Funny, one of my partners, Pablo, is a graduate from engineering school, and he is a CFA charter holder. So it doesn't matter that you didn't study business or economics in undergrad. You've got a 4-year university degree, then you can move forward into the CFA program. Even before you get the degree, you can move into the CFA program. So no worries about that. And then we have another question here from Ronald. So Ronald works in investor in human resources area, and can he get the charter? So I would say you should go for it. We need to be a little careful how you describe your work experience when the time comes, but that's later after you get through level 3. Basically, you need to show that you've been involved in investment decision making, and that can, got to be a little creative, but it could probably be described along the lines of how you evaluate candidates for the areas in which you hire into. So I think it's an interesting opportunity for you if you're considering it. And I wouldn't worry so much about describing the work experience. They're not that strict on it. And we've been able to help our students over the years write descriptions of their work experience that have allowed them to receive the credit. And what he's asking about, just to go back, is in order to actually become a CFA charter holder, in addition to passing all of the exams, you need to have 4 years of qualified work experience. So you need to submit a description of that work experience so that you receive an okay from the CFA Institute that qualifies. But I think, that's not so difficult to do. We just need to be creative sometimes about how we describe our work experience. All right, so Louise has a question here. Let's see. Okay, so Luis is asking about when the Kaplan and Schweizer material is going to be ready for level 2 candidates that are considering taking the exam in May of 2021. And I can answer for not just level 2, but also level 3. I actually got word today that the material will be available on August 20th, 2 days from now. So you'll be able to sign up to get the material at that time. And they, as maybe you're familiar with from the past, will not necessarily give you everything all at once, but they'll give you material to get started after after you make your purchase, and you can start your preparation. Probably by end of week, beginning of next week. I got word about that today because the exam window, or the registration, we should better say, is open now starting on August 20th. The Kaplan and Schweizer material for all the levels will be available on the same day. Level 1's already available and has been for a while, actually since June. But levels 2 and 3 will be available to purchase later this week. Good question. That was something I was going to bring up. So Ronald's asking about so I guess he's asking about the degree that he's achieved, and is it going to qualify for CFA standards? So I would say yes. Maybe we should have a discussion offline about that. But basically, they say in their on their site and in their literature that you need a 4-year university degree or the equivalent of one. So if your degree is considered the equivalent of that, then you should be okay. All right, good. I think I got the questions that have come at me so far. I'm going to keep going with the presentation for a little bit more, but please keep sending questions as they come up. And as we were saying, one of the things that Luis brought up with regards to the material, can he get started studying for level 2 if he plans to take it in May? And the answer is yes, because it's going to be available later this week. But what I think would be a better way to respond to that would be the curriculums are not changing for 2021 because of all the issues that are going on and having to push everybody, and now they can push you even further still into the next year if they're not able to administer exams in certain places, or if you want to be moved, you have that optionality to move yourselves into 2021. So they've frozen the curriculums. They're not doing any changes to the content of the exams for 2021 across all 3 levels. But what will change would be practice exams. They need to now be in a computer-based format. You could take a practice exam on the Kaplan-Schweizer platform, even though the actual would have been in paper. But now it needs to be shortened to the appropriate time limit. It's not a 6-hour exam anymore, or 2-3-hour sessions anymore. It's a different time limit. So they need to be conscious of that. So there are changes that need to be made to the way you practice for the actual test, and that's going to be reflected in the material. Now the weightings you can see are the same for levels 2 and 3. Level 1 is similar, but not exactly the same. Instead, level of having a fixed percentage like they did in the past, level 1 now has a range, just like levels 2 and 3 have. Now, if you pick the midpoint of the range, it's the same as the fixed percentage weightings for each topic area that you used to have in level 1. But instead of ethics being, let's say, 15%, now it's 15 to 20%. Or maybe a better example, instead of financial reporting being 15%, it's 13 to 17%. So if you picked right there in the middle, that midpoint, it is 15%. Or if quant, which used to be 10%, now 10% is the midpoint of the 8 to 12% range. So these ranges, that's new. The reason they got to do this is because you're going to be taking a test at a center, and the exam is going to pull from a question bank. I'm not going to have necessarily the same exam that Luis is going to have if he takes it a couple days later. It's going to be on the same topics. It's going to be the same, percentage weightings within the ranges, but it's not going to be exactly the same questions because they're going to have to formulate question banks and pull questions from the banks to constitute, the exams that people take, across the window. So if I take the exam on February 23rd, the first day of the window for the level 1, it's not going to be the same exam on February 24th or February 25th. It's going to be a little bit different. So that's the reason why they need ranges, and they can't have these fixed weightings anymore like they used to have. But this is something that, for those that are familiar with test taking at centers, you've already been doing. If you take the GMAT exam, for example, it's pulling from a question bank. And that's the way computer-based testing works. When you go to a test center and you have a window of a couple weeks to, in the case of the CFA, 10 days to be able to schedule your test. All right. So, all right. Now, in terms of study planning, we don't see anything that really changes here. You got to prepare a little bit differently at the end when you're drilling on practice exams, and thus do them in the computer-based format. But for your actual preparation, we see it as really a 5-6 month process. And you can do a little quicker turnaround from December to May, because it'll be, there'll be things that you're building upon from the prior level, and it is feasible to do that. But you need to be thinking about a 4 to 6 month plan where you're allocating a certain number of hours per week and upping the number of hours per week as you get closer to the actual test. Can't ignore ethics. It's a big part of the exam and will continue to be. It's even bigger. Did you see 15 to 20% now in level 1 compared to the prior 15% weighting? Practice exams, practice questions, it's all integral to your preparation, and that'll continue. So don't really see any changes here in terms of number of hours you need to get dedicated, and how long you need to prepare for, and when you need to start. All that basically remains as it was. So some important dates in terms of our prep courses. We're gonna plan to offer prep courses for all these different exams. So we already have one that students are signing up for the February level 1 exam. It'll start at the end of September, specifically on September 29th. And that'll run out. We're going to run classes up through second week of December, take a pause, come back in, and then do another month of class from mid-January to mid-February to get people prepared for that February window. And then we have everything in May. So there'll be level 1, level 2, level 3. We already have the dates on our site. Schedules are available for levels 2 and 3 for the May. We're waiting to start the course in February because those that are taking level 1 in December, or in the case of level 3, level 2 in December, they need to have a little bit of time to get their results, which won't, in theory, come out until the end of January. But we have dates on the site. February 8th, which is a Monday, I was looking earlier, is the start date for level 2, and then Tuesday, February 9th, the start date for level 3 for these May windows. But we're gonna, for those candidates that want to, be able to give you some resources to start studying before then, so you don't have to wait until February to actually begin. So we're gonna work on that with you all, for those that want to, at least. Even if you don't have your result, you can start studying for these exams before they actually, before you get your result, before we actually begin the classes. So Luis is asking, the material content still the same, Luis. So Luis is asking about the level 2. What's changing? Well, nothing with the content. You got to study the same, 2 study sessions in quant, and the same, material for financial reporting, and the same. Everything's the same in terms of what you actually have to study. But they're going to ask fewer questions. They realized that they don't need as many questions to determine if you know or don't know the material. That's basically what they're what they've determined. And because they need to create more questions, a lot more questions, each exam window, because of the way they have to create question banks and pull specific questions in for each iteration of the exam within the window. They it's a lot of more questions that they need to create compared to years past. So they realized we could have figured out if you were prepared or not prepared with 180 questions on level 1. And then level 2 traditionally has been 120 questions. They haven't come out and specifically said it's not going to be 120, it's going to be 90, but we can gather that that's probably going to be the case, considering that they're saying it's going to be cut down in timing like level 2 or like level 1, and we'll maintain the same number of minutes per question. So that's what I'm thinking. You're going to have 90 questions instead of 120, to be confirmed by the CFA Institute still, but you will be tested over the same material. So we don't see anything different in terms of study planning, in terms of how to run a course. We think we need to, all the material is still there, cover it in the classes together. But obviously when you do practice exams, they'll be different. They'll be on the computer and they'll be shorter. So I hope that answers your question. All right. Anything else, Fernando, for now? Okay, so again, our plan is to do courses for all these exam windows. So we used to have a very first semester weighted CFA prep at the office. We had all three levels running, lots of courses going on at the same time for those June exams. That's not going to be the case anymore. Now it's going to be pretty spread out throughout the year. One other thing that's important for you all to be aware of, when if you were to purchase that material for level 2, Luis was asking about the level 2, when's it going to be available? You actually don't have to specify, Luis, anymore that you're a May or an August guy. You will get your material if you register for the May exam. That's what you want. If you're a new candidate registering for the May, I better say that. If you're transferring from December to May, then your material will be valid through May. If you're a new candidate registering for the May exam, they don't want to, the Kaplan, I'm talking about Kaplan now, our partners with the material. They don't want to try to figure out if you're a May guy or an August guy. They're just going to give you access until August. If you're a new level 3 person deciding to take, let's say you pass level 2 in December and you're planning to take either May or November for level 3, they don't want to try to figure out, which one you're doing. They're just going to give you access until November. Anybody that's signing up for level new, that's signing up for level 1 for 2021, they're just going to give you access until the end of November, the final window. They don't want to know if you're February, May, August. You just get the access until November. Okay, so that's helpful. You get access basically through the end of the window, the final window for that year. But for those that are already in December, even the people that were in June that got pushed to December, Kaplan's going to extend access to the material until June. So it's going to basically cover all the May windows. They're going to cover, so anybody that wants to opt out of December paper-based and opt into computer-based, which I know people are doing in our level 1 course for December, the access that you have to the exam prep material from Kaplan will be available through end of May into the beginning of June. So it'll allow you access for level 1 through the first 2 windows, and for levels 2 and 3 through the May window. Okay, so that's for anybody that's an existing candidate. And then for anybody new, as I was mentioning, you get access through until the final window for that particular exam level. Okay. Anything else, Fernando? I got a couple more things. So I think a lot of you all that are watching here tonight are aware that at FK we've been doing training here for these CFA exams for a long time, 16 years to be specific, helped thousands of candidates, good chunk of the Brazilian candidate market over this time period. We have this partnership with Kaplan Schweizer that I've mentioned already. We have also a membership in the CFA Institute's Approved Prep Provider Program. So we get updates directly from the CFA Institute about curriculum changes and whatnot. And then we can, you mentioned about the discounted pricing for the Kaplan material, but we also at FK, this is our full-time job. We can, we can help coach and support you and try to get you through into the next level and beyond. That's our job, to partner with you to try to get you ultimately to become a CFA charter holder. So, okay, got a question in here from Ikaro. The early registration for 2021 exam starts on August 20th. Not for February. February level 1 has already passed the early registration, but for anything else after that, May for any of the 3 levels, August for level 1 or level 2, and November for level 1 or level 3, that early registration window starts on August 20th. Yes. Okay, so on August 20th, you can register for anything, basically. And you're considered early. I even have the date. I'll go back, find it. I've written it down. For the May people, you're early and you pay $700 instead of $1,000 if you register sometime between August 20th and November 3rd. Right? But early registration for August and November also starts on August 20th of this year, of this week. Okay, so yeah, early. I would definitely, considering what's happened to the Brazilian real, try to get in with early registration. You save $300. Final thing I wanted to share with you all tonight, for those that are listening tonight that are level 1 candidates and you want to do the February exam, you have a discount of 10%. There's a coupon here I'm displaying that you can type into the registration page or the matricula page on our website. So this is valid for the CFA level 1 course that'll start on September 29th for this February 2021 exam. This coupon's valid until the end of this month. It's valid for the course, not the material. You can purchase the material from Kaplan Schweizer through us. We'll give you a discount on that, but this coupon is not specifically valid for that. The pricing that we have on the site is already reflecting discounts. So it's cheaper to buy it from us than through Kaplan Schweizer. And discounts aren't cumulative. So if you get a discount because you're an employee of a certain company or whatever, you can't just add them up and tack on another 10%. So, but again, if you're considering the level 1 course, please know that we'd like you to join, and we'll give you a discount if you register with us for that course starting later on in September by the end of this month. So I'm going to pause there. See if anybody else has any more questions. Fernando, do you have any more questions in our chat? No more questions. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for participating. And again, this is, really more for us to try to share information with you that we gathered from the CFA Institute and from Kaplan Schweizer. I read carefully the CFA Institute's website. We get emails directly from them as well, and information that they provide to us as approved prep providers. And then Kaplan, our partner based in the US, is really in tune with the CFA Institute as well, and shares information with us. And even we're talking with them. I had a call with them last week and another follow-up today about what they're doing in regards to material and everything. So starting later this week, you can buy material for any level for 2021. Okay? Everything's available on the site. You can see the pricing, all the packages, all the the standalone products that are not aligned with the package. Everything's available. All right. So level 1 already was. Now all the levels are available, and the courses are available. We have right now on the site the schedules or agendas for level 1 for the February test. So that starts in September, of course, and then levels 2 and 3, the May tests. The schedules are up and available to register for. And those start in February next year. Okay? So, all right. Well, if nobody else has anything more, we'll stop for tonight. We'll be back with more information as it becomes available. But again, like I was showing you in the presentation, the CFA Institute's diagrams of how you can, walk your way towards getting the charter, I think, are very helpful with regards to timing, when to take the exams and when you'll be able to take the next one. As a general rule, you need to wait 6 months between tests. So if you were to take a level 1 exam in February and you were not able to pass, then you couldn't take it in May. You wouldn't have the result in time to be able to register for that. You'd have to take it in August. Okay, so just think like that. You need to still wait 6 months between tests, but you have more options now with 4 tests per year for level 1, and then the 2 tests per year for each of the levels 2 and 3. You have more options available to you all, and I think that's good. I think that it's going to encourage more people to be, taking these exams and not giving up, and hopefully working their way to the end to get the charter. So, and we're here to help you with that, as we continue to say, and hope to see you all in the course in the future. So we'll sign off for tonight, everyone. Thank you for participating. Have a good night.